The Sanctuary of Failures, the Imperial Dragon Sanctuary, stood at the edge of the capital city like a monument to expensive mistakes. Its crystalline walls stretched 300 feet high, reinforced with energy shields that could withstand a nuclear blast. Inside those walls lived exactly one dragon, and outside those walls lived the ghosts of 17 trainers who had tried and failed to reach her. Vex was her name, though most people in the Imperial Court simply called her the Problem. She had arrived 6 months ago as a gift to Emperor Kavros from a distant world, a gesture of diplomatic goodwill that had turned into a nightmare. The dragon was magnificent in theory, scales that shimmered like molten copper, eyes the color of storm clouds, and wings that should have carried her across continents. But Vex trusted no one, accepted no commands, and responded to every approach with violence that left even the most experienced handlers broken or terrified. The Imperial Beastmaster had assembled experts from 12 different star systems. Each arrived with impressive credentials and revolutionary techniques. Each departed within hours, sometimes with fewer limbs than they had started with. The dragon had been abused before arriving at the sanctuary. That much was clear. Her wings bore scars from restraint systems. Her scales showed marks from shock collars, and her eyes held a rage that spoke of betrayals too deep for any creature to endure. Marcus Reed walked through the sanctuary gates on a morning when the twin suns cast long shadows across the courtyard. He carried a single backpack and wore clothes that had seen better decades, faded military jacket, worn boots, and the kind of tired expression that came from too many sleepless nights with a sick child. He was 48 years old, grey threading through his dark hair, with the compact build of someone who had spent 20 years in the Galactic Defense Corps before medical discharge sent him home to raise a son alone. Commander Thex, the Imperial Beastmaster, met him at the entrance. The commander was a Corvian, 8 feet tall with 4 arms and a reputation for breaking wild creatures to saddle. He looked down at Marcus with barely disguised contempt. "You are the human," Thex said. Not bothering to make it sound like a question. "Marcus Reed," he replied, extending a hand that Thex ignored. "Your credentials are insufficient. Your experience is limited. Your species has no natural affinity for dragon bonding." Thex crossed all 4 arms. "Why did the Emperor approve your application?" Marcus shrugged. "I was cheap, available, desperate enough to take a job nobody else wants." Honest, at least. Thex turned toward the inner sanctuary. "You have been warned about Vex?" "I read the reports." "Then you know she has injured or killed every trainer who has entered her space. The Emperor grows impatient. If you fail, he will order her destroyed." Thex paused at a massive doorway. "That would be a waste of a valuable creature." "She's not a creature," Marcus said quietly. "She's someone who's been hurt badly and doesn't know how to trust anymore." Thex's translatorship struggled with the emotional nuance, but his eyes narrowed. "You have 1 hour. If you survive, we will discuss next steps." The inner sanctuary was larger than Marcus expected. A vast chamber with artificial sky projections and terrain that shifted between forest, mountain, and desert. In the center, chained to a quantum pillar that hummed with containment energy, was Vex. She was smaller than the report suggested, maybe 20 feet from nose to tail, with wings that hung at awkward angles. The copper scales that should have gleamed were dull, and her storm-grey eyes tracked Marcus with the kind of calculated hatred that came from too many people causing pain. Fresh scars crossed her snout, where a muzzle had been forcibly attached and removed. Marcus stopped 50 feet away and sat down on the ground. Vex snarled, a sound that vibrated through the floor and made the quantum restraints flare brighter. She pulled against the chains, testing them for the 1,000th time, finding them still unbreakable. Marcus said nothing. He opened his backpack, pulled out a sandwich, and began eating. Not quickly, not nervously, just methodically taking bites while sitting cross-legged on the sanctuary floor. Vex watched him, confusion mixing with suspicion. Every other human had come at her with weapons or technology or aggressive confidence. This one just sat and ate. After 10 minutes, Marcus finished his sandwich and pulled out a canteen. He drank slowly, his eyes scanning the sanctuary walls, but never staring directly at the dragon. In his peripheral vision, he could see her tension gradually shifting, the rigid anger giving way to uncertainty. "I had a dog once," Marcus said conversationally, his voice carrying across the space without shouting. "Back on Earth before the wars. His name was Bishop. Somebody had beaten him badly before I found him. He bit anyone who came close, wouldn't eat if people were watching, couldn't sleep without whimpering." Vex's ears twitched. The first voluntary movement she had made that was not aggressive. Trainers told me Bishop was broken beyond fixing. Said I should put him down humanely, get a normal dog, save myself the trouble. Marcus unscrewed his canteen again, taking another sip. But I saw something in his eyes, not just fear and anger. There was this question, this desperate hope that maybe someone would finally understand. The dragon's breathing had changed, becoming less rapid, more controlled. I spent 3 months just sitting near Bishop, not trying to touch him, not forcing anything, just being there, consistent, predictable, safe. Marcus finally looked at Vex directly, his eyes meeting hers without challenge or demand. Eventually he came to me, not because I dominated him or fixed him or used some special technique. He came because he decided I was worth trusting. Vex made a sound, not quite a growl, not quite a whimper. Her quantum chains rattled as she shifted position, lowering herself slightly to the ground. Marcus stood up slowly, every movement visible and unthreatening. "I'm not here to train you, Vex. I'm not here to make you into the Emperor's weapon, or his trophy, or his pet. I'm here because someone is suffering, and I might understand that suffering better than most." He took one step forward. "My son Tyler is 11. He was born with a genetic condition that makes his bones fragile. He's broken 17 bones in his life, spent more time in hospitals than playgrounds." Marcus's voice stayed level, but something flickered in his expression. "After every break, people told me what he couldn't do anymore, what limitations he would have to accept, what dreams he needed to abandon. Another step. But Tyler kept finding ways, adapted, learned to be strong in ways nobody expected. Taught me that broken doesn't mean finished." Marcus was now 30 feet from the dragon, well within striking range even with the chains. "I see the same thing in you. Not a broken creature that needs fixing. A survivor who needs someone to finally see past the scars." Vex's storm-grey eyes locked onto Marcus, and for the first time since arriving at the sanctuary, something other than rage flickered in their depths, something that looked like recognition, like hope. Marcus sat down again, this time close enough that Vex could reach him if she wanted. "I've got nowhere else to be today. If you want to talk, I'll listen. If you want to be angry, I understand. If you want me to leave, just give me a sign." The sanctuary fell silent, except for breathing, human and dragon, both survivors of different wars, both carrying scars that went deeper than skin. Vex lowered her head completely to the ground, her eyes never leaving Marcus, watching with an intensity that felt like testing and hoping all at once. Commander Thex watched through the observation window, his forearms uncrossing in surprise. In 6 months, no one had gotten this close to Vex without bloodshed. This human had done it in 30 minutes by doing something nobody else had tried. He had simply treated her like someone who mattered.